Assalamu alaikum. I'm Layla Abdullah-Poulos, and welcome to NbA Muslim Authors Speak. You get to watch me review the books. Now I have a chance to speak with the authors so that readers have the opportunity to get to know them better. And the author to grace us with his presence today is crime romance writer Nasheed Jaxson. I apologize for my phone. It's live. Okay. Jaxson is the writer of poems, poetry, plays, and spoken word pieces, which he performs up and down the East Coast of the United States. He has won and placed in numerous poetry competitions, including the National Poetry and Literary Festival in the UK. In 2009, a close friend encouraged and assured Jaxson that he had what it took to write a movie. Months later, they produced West End Story with the hopes that it will be a blockbuster. Jaxson didn't stop at being a screenwriter, though. His debut novel, Her Justice, is the first crime romance in Jackson's The Justice series. Assalamu alaikum, brother Nasheed. How are you doing?
Wa alaikum salam. I am excellent. Alhamdulillah. Excellent.
Thank you very much for joining me today. And I have to say I'm going to be gushing a little bit because you are the first NbA American Muslim author that I've come across that has written that has written a romance and has done a very good job at it. And can you give the audience some of your motivations behind writing and in particular writing this debut novel?
I've always enjoyed reading and writing. I wrote poems, in my early life, short stories. This story, Her Justice, came about when, well, actually, I was writing something. I was always writing a story, and a publisher was accepting, submissions. I had 5 or 6 chapters. I cleaned it up. I sent it in to the publisher. The publisher loved the story. Justice was in the story. The story wasn't Her Justice, though. She loved the character of Justice, but she wanted to change the story. And because it was my baby, I was like, no, we can't change it, right? So she challenged me to write. She gave me 4 days to write 3 chapters with a whole new plot. So for 2 days, she still wanted to use Justice as the main character. So the question that I was asking myself for 2 days was, how could I put Justice to the test? Who or what, because he was the antagonist. So what villain could I come up with to put him to the test? And Audrea came to me. And Her Justice was born. Her Justice. She gave me 4 days. Those 2 days, I wrote 3 chapters, and yeah, she loved those also.
Oh, I completely agree with her. I think that you have some very complex characters. Now, it's my understanding that you were quite surprised to come to the realization that this was a romance novel. You didn't see it as a romance novel.
Not at all. Not at all. I wanted to write a good story. That's what I was about. And thinking about it, the story that I submitted, it was a love story. The story I submitted, it was a love story. So, I say that it's a surprise that it's a romance, but every story that I've written has some sort of love in it. So I guess I am a romance writer.
How do you feel about that?
I accept it.
How do you feel about that?
I was shooting for suspense. I accept the role of being a romance writer. It's no problem. I can't answer no questions about love.
The plight of the romance writer. Just because you write romance, everyone thinks you know everything there is to know about.
I know no questions. I can't answer no questions.
So let's talk about the book, but let's not talk about your own romance problems.
All right. Right.
How have readers been responding to Her Justice?
wonderful, wonderful reviews. You know, it's been a year since the book's been out, and I have to praise Allah that I have got no bad response. There has been criticism of what they think should happen to the characters or whatever, but no bad response. In fact, the other day, a lady just told me, and I think this is one of the most humbling compliments that I got. She bought the book from me, and then she saw me again and told me that I am, in her mind, I am on the same level as her favorite author, Jerome Dickey.
Okay.
Jerome Dickey, I mean, I know who, she don't know this, but I know who Jerome Dickey is. When I wanted to start writing, that's who I've kind of like fashioned myself after. In fact, I even wanted to go into that genre, you know, of urban fiction. But alhamdulillah, I didn't. And so when she said that, it was very humbling. I'm on the level of my favorite author. And would this be she said, would this be your first book? I feel that you will even outpass him. I'm hoping that I can, because, you know, in my mind, he's up there.
It's very, very impressive. I'm quite heard from other authors who have done work well that when they're compared to their favorite authors, they feel a sense of honor. So there are elements of urban fiction in your book. There are elements of suspense in your book. You do include those elements, and it's a romance because the overrunning thing, the thing that drives the plot for most readers probably through the whole book, is the love between Justice and Naima. Okay, and so, you know, genres can be very, very fluid and very, very expansive. And there's an opportunity to mix them together and everything like that. But something typically usually takes center stage in a novel. So if the crime and suspense is the center stage of the novel, that's what it becomes. You can have love elements in it as well, and romance elements in it as well. But for the reader, it's really about that. In this case, it's really about the love and romance between Justice and Naima, and the love triangle between Justice, Naima, and Audrea, who are the three main characters of the book. And for readers, people who have not had the opportunity to read Her Justice, first of all, go out and read it. But it follows Justice Lowe, who is an up-and-coming psychotherapist. And one of his clients, a very rich and powerful and beautiful woman, Audrea, decides that she's ready for love again, and she's ready for love with justice. So she sets about destroying his marriage, which he does not make too hard for her, because he and his wife are going through some problems, because Justice decides to really focus his attention on his career and his responsibilities to his Muslim community, something that Naima isn't very appreciative of. Okay, so let's get into those characters, Audrea and Justice and Naima. Audrea is one fascinating character because you can very much love and hate her at the same time. She's a non-Muslim woman, and she's setting her sights on this Muslim man. Is there any particular reason why you chose that dynamic as opposed to a Muslim woman going after a Muslim man, or something like that? Is there any reason why you chose a non-Muslim woman?
I needed her to do certain things that I know a Muslim woman wouldn't do.
You know? You don't know Muslim women.
Nah.
I
absolutely
perfectly capable of doing what Muslim women, perfectly capable of doing what Audrea did, and then go on to make salat right afterwards.
I wanted to. The way she came to me was she was this beautiful. I guess I wanted to describe, you know, her body on the outside, you know, of work or whatever. I don't know. She came to me. There's no particular reason. I can't say there is, but yeah, there's no particular reason.
Okay, so did you feel like you just had more liberty, like you said, to describe her? I mean, there are very good scenes with her dressing herself and admiring herself, and
that also.
And you can't really seduce someone when you're covered in black with a kimar on.
Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to, because I wanted it to somewhat be forbidden for him. You know what I mean? Not only in a sense of, not being married, but he's this religious guy, and he desires a religious woman, like he's attracted to her, no problem, that's without doubt, but he wouldn't do it. I mean, she even asked at one point, "Do you think about taking a second wife?" He was like, "No, I don't want a second wife." And with her being Muslim, that would have been a question for him to take a second wife. You know what I mean? Why don't he just marry her? But
there's this assumption that every Muslim man wants more than one wife.
Wants a second wife. Not my man Justice.
I Justice.
I want to be Justice.
There are a lot of Muslim men that don't. Like
that's true.
That every one of them do. And I guess it does. It creates a barrier, because there is this whole idea, if you're Muslim, and maybe in a lot of Muslim readers' minds, I think probably in my mind too, it would be like, oh, well, I guess he's going to have to tell Naima that he's getting another wife. And that would have been a whole nother plot.
Right. But we've seen that plot before. Like, you know what I mean? It's expected, because I'm a Muslim, because the character Muslim, I think it's expected that he's going to just take a second wife. But, I don't like doing the expected.
Yeah, and Audrea really wasn't down with it either, so she was lying.
Not at all. Not at all. She probably would have took a second husband.
So, let's get back to Audrea. Now, Audrea is very beautiful. She, you open in the opening scene, she is having dinner with this man who's very much taken with her, and she is not feeling him. And she could have any man that she wants. She has the money, she has the look, she's the total package in many ways. She can have any man she wants, but she sets her sights on a man that is already taken. Why would a woman like that want to have that kind of trauma and drama in her life?
Well, anybody, most people who have acquired power, they know what they want in life. They go after the things that they want, and a lot of them even go after those things that people say they can't have. So why not go after? Why not go after a married man? And it wasn't on purpose. She, in her mind, thought that he was still she thought that he wasn't married. She thought that he wasn't married when her husband died, but to find out that he was married, she couldn't turn off the love that he had already stirred up in her, because she was attracted to him, like really attracted to him, while she was married. He made her feel like a little girl, a feeling that her husband never gave her.
A little girl in what sense?
Home. He made her feel at home. Like she was, the cover that she wore was just taken off. You know what I mean? She could be free with him. She can be open with him, with Justice. Yeah.
So there was this emotional intimacy that they had. Okay, but Justice didn't really seem to feel that. To him, in many ways, although he was outwardly attracted, he was physically attracted to her. He didn't seem as emotionally connected to her as Audrea was to him. So,
not at that time, but he was though. While she was married, he was, and he wasn't married.
but he turned it off.
He was able to turn it off.
And the role switched, and she didn't turn it off.
Couldn't turn it off. She couldn't turn it off.
I don't know about couldn't, but she sure didn't want to.
She could.
He sure didn't want to. Now, Justin. Now let's get to Justin. You said he was able to turn it off. So when he was single, and I apologize everyone for the echo. I'm like working in the background trying to get rid of it, but I can't. When he was single, and he was able to turn it off. He was able to turn that off. His attraction to Audrea, and he went on about his business, and he married Naima. Okay, he becomes very, very involved, like I said before, in his work and his responsibilities with the community. Every time he is ready to go home to his wife, something pops off at the masjid, and he's the only person that seems able to fix it. Why couldn't he turn that off? Because in many ways, it's a dual role of being selfless is selfish. Mm. Because although he may apparently seem selfless because he's satisfying all of the needs of people outside of his home, he's being very, very selfish because inside of his home is the woman that he loves waiting for him to just give her some attention. Why was he able to shut that off?
Okay, I don't know if you're gonna get to this or not, but Justice and Audrea are alike.
Oh, they're definitely alike.
You see how she was driven for what she wanted. Justice is the exact same way. He's driven for what he wants, and him wanting to be, or him wanting to help people was at the forefront. He didn't want to get married at the time, but to save himself from the fire or save himself from doing something that, he would regret, he had to get married. So he wasn't really ready for marriage. His focus, he married, but his focus was still on helping people, or making his practice become one of the best in Atlanta. But at the same time, he was still trying to come home, which is one of the reasons he tried to do business with Audrea, so that he can make extra money and spend more time at the house. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He couldn't turn it off because he was a driven person. He's just like Audrea, driven.
Why did he drive home to his wife? So in many ways, like you said, they are alike, but also is this driven personality, is it something that just it's transferred, as opposed to he couldn't turn it off, Audrea couldn't turn it off in many ways, and so this driven personality transferred. So for Justice, it transferred into doing these other things, his job and his career and his communal life. Why didn't he transfer it again? Okay, because he was jeopardizing, even though he didn't start off. He got married for a very practical reason. There's nothing practical about marriage and the love that develops, or even the hate that develops in a marriage. So why didn't he have the sense to transfer it again? If he had the sense to transfer it one time, why didn't he have the sense to transfer it again?
I think we take for granted those people who are close to us all the time. And I really did want to show that in the story, how we take people for granted. But then also you start to you realize how important they are when something happens. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he couldn't transfer it because he was a husband and taking his wife for granted. That's what we do until something happens.
Well, you heard it all live, everyone.
We love.
Right?
No, listen.
We're men and we're husbands, and that's what we do.
Listen, I mean, yeah, we you know, I
think he did. I think he did. But I think that also Naima, who seems the most submissive and the most innocent character in the novel, in the love triangle, also is driven, because she's driven to get her husband into her life more. Mm-hmm. And so some of the decisions she makes also are problematic, not nearly as problematic as the ones that Justice and Audrea make, but still she has her own drive. So it seems like all three of these characters are driven by certain passions. And based on those passions, they decide to act out accordingly. Mm-hmm. Now, the only difference is that Audrea had the foresight of seeing exactly what Justice's passions were and using them against him. She was very, very manipulative of this man's ego, which I absolutely loved about the character. She wasn't just simply depending on her feminine wiles to get him. Okay, she was depending on what he wanted as well, and in many ways motivated things so that he was coming straight to her, which indicates that she really knew a lot about him. So during those therapy sessions, she was working him in many ways. I guess he thought he was working social, like working her mind. She was working his, because some of the things that she did, she had to know that she would be at the end of, he would come to her as opposed to other people. She had to know that his ego was at a level where he wouldn't come clean on certain things, and so he would try to cover it up and come to her. So that says a lot about what she knew about him. And in many ways, she knew him better than his own wife did.
I mean, you study the thing that you want, you study it. If it's not yours, you have to study. And we know that from her. That's what she did. She, there was the situation in there when she was trying to get something like that. Like, she looked into it. She knew about it and everything. That's the kind of person she was. She will study a person or study a thing when she started to pursue it. So I'm glad you picked that up. I'm glad you picked it up. There was so much. No, there was so much more that I wanted. There's so much more that I wanted to say about her. Like, I wanted to put all that stuff in there. I really had her devious. In the beginning, I had her killing her husband too.
Oh yeah.
She was the reason for killing her husband, but that didn't come out until later. But I scrapped that because I needed.
Thank you.
She was a really devious person.
She's diabolical enough without murdering her husband. Without murdering her husband on top of it. Now, I want to get back. I want to get to Naima, because I think that from the conversation we had earlier, Naima seems to be the character that draws the biggest, the widest spectrum of reactions from readers. Some see her as weak, some see her as strong, some see her some in the middle. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the reactions that you've gotten from readers, particularly Muslim women and non-Muslim women, about Naima?
Like you said, it's been mixed. She's too weak. She shouldn't represent a woman. Like, disgust because she's so weak. That kind of stuff. But then there are women who say that, you know, I love her. She's my favorite character in the whole book. Some Muslim women say that she's weak, but that's how we should be as Muslim women.
Okay. Wow.
Right. But the thing is, I don't see her as weak.
Okay. Why don't you see her as weak?
Well, okay, I wrote her to be submissive to her husband. And what I'm understanding is some people view submissiveness as a form of weakness. I don't get that because it's strength. To me, it represents strength. Mm-hmm. It was a lady, how she explained it was so beautiful that submitting to someone as a wife, and I'm gonna have to quote it some other time. I can't even remember it, but she said it beautiful. She said it beautifully that submitting to your husband is a form of strength. You're saying that I'm gonna let you handle everything. You know, I'm gonna have your back. I'm gonna have your back in everything that you do. You can handle it, and that takes strength to do that.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to get to that in a second, but I just find it interesting that Muslim, and particularly Muslim women, would find submissiveness as a sign of weakness, because as Muslims, we are submissive. Just by the name Muslim itself is indicative of a form of submissiveness and the strength that is drawn from submissiveness. So we definitely have a paradigm from which to identify as Muslims in general that we're submitting to Allah. And so, and we have to submit to his decree, and we have to submit to what he has for us and what he takes away from us. So we have to submit in a lot of ways, whether we want to or not. Now, the submissiveness that Naima has is very much chosen. She's decided to do it. Like you said, she's decided to say, I'm going to give you the reins in many things. Okay. And so I'm just curious as to why that in particular is seen as something that is weak as opposed to something as strong, considering the fact that other kinds of submissiveness are considered a source of strength.
I think because we live in a land of Audreas, independent women, go-getters. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? I love it myself. You know what I mean? That a woman can just go out and get it. I mean, but Naima is that person too, but she was doing what she thought her husband wanted her to do. You know, by becoming a housewife. She hated being in the house. She hated being there. She want to be out. She wants to be out with a job, but her husband don't want her to. So that's what she.
Yeah, they had a couple of arguments about that one.
Yeah.
It's like you want me home and I'm home, but you're not home. What the heck, Justice? I definitely get it.
Right.
So we live in a land of Audrea. Not saying that all women in America are devious plotters or anything like that, but we are very much encouraged in a lot of ways, and Muslim women as well, to that we can be in anything that we want to be, and that we can do whatever it is we want to do. We can go out and get whatever it is that we want to get. And that's what Audrea very much does. What you're saying is that Naima has the same capacity, and she knows it. She just chooses not to do it.
She chooses not to. And in a way, I think I put it in there, justice is turned off by the woman she's becoming. Wait. You want me to be in the house. You want me to be here in the house. Now I'm becoming this woman that I think you want me. Now you don't like me. I'm not attractive no more. And I believe that that's just what, you know, married couples go through, Muslim or non-Muslim, period. If a woman says, okay, I'm going to submit to my husband, she starts to do things that she feels that he will like, and he ends up not liking them. He liked the woman who he met. You know what I mean? He enjoys or likes the woman who he first met.
We always think we know what we want until we get it.
I don't, and I think what I wanted to say about that also is, you know, you have to accept the person. You can't change him. Or expect them to when they do start to change, you need to still love them. You know what I mean? Yeah, you need to still love them.
Well, because in relationships, whether marriage or not, there is evolution. People change. people in many ways, personally, the way they interact with their spouse or significant other, there's a constant changing. And in order for a relationship to stay strong and stay viable, there needs to be adjustments to that changing. And I don't think that Justice was ready to make those adjustments for Naima, which kind of, became a driving force behind some of the situations, some of the decisions that she made.
Wait, so in a lot of sense, Audrea was a blessing.
You can keep that blessing.
I had to.
How in the world was Audrea a blessing and not a bane? Society?
Because if
the stuff that she did, so please enlighten us as to why Audrea was a blessing.
If Audrea wasn't there, none of the stuff would have happened. Naima was feeling like, yo, I gotta go. I'm trying. You at the Nasheed, you at your job. I want you here. I want you home. So if Audrea wouldn't have did what she did, she would have left. Like Naima would have left. The relationship, I don't know.
So you're saying that Justice was ruining his marriage, and it wasn't until Audrea made things a whole lot worse.
That's what it takes for us men to realize, yo, I really done messed up. Well, you know what? I won't say that. It was just like a little drastic, but maybe when she left, he would have realized.
It was more than a little drastic. Let's just admit that. Okay. All right. So now Justice and Naima, they're very, very much in love with each other. Even though, like you said, Justice initially married because, he didn't want to fall into a sin according to the dictates of his faith. Mm-hmm. And so he married Naima. However, the scenes that you have a lot of sexual banter that indicates that he is more than in love with this woman. So, and you're very tame about it, and it is well done. I think it is well done. Have readers, especially romance readers, have they asked you for more than what you've given them in Her Justice?
Yeah, actually. Yeah. One said, I get right there and don't push it. Like I'm there, but I don't go all the way. Like go all the way. Yeah. So they did. They still enjoyed it though, but they wish that I would push it a little more. Like,
okay.
But the thing is, I don't think that I will though.
Okay.
I like the tease. You know what I mean? I want you to use your imagination. You know what I mean? I want you to use your imagination. Because I've read some stuff that I was really uncomfortable reading. And I'm man, you know what I mean? We're supposed to love porn and stuff like that, but I'm not with it at all. I mean, I know there's a tactful way to do it that it doesn't seem like that. You know what I mean? I know that. But I like getting right there and not doing it.
Well, I know that there's this conversation in American Muslim culture in particular about the content, explicit content. We just had the Twitter chat, can Muslim fiction go too far? What I found interesting is that sex and explicit sex, that kind of took over everything when the Twitter chat was about graphic content in its totality.
I noticed that. Like, people
like
take graphic content as okay.
Everyone was kind of okay with the blood and the guts and the gore and the murder and all of that. But wait a second, you talking about two people having sex. Oh, wait a minute now. Hold on. So I know that there's this conversation that's happening. And some authors have, and again, there's a wide berth here of what's going on that I've read. so far, in as far as love scenes go, written by Muslim authors in the United States. I mean, there are some that are very, very tame, where you seem almost pornographic compared to some of these authors. And there's some that there's one in particular, Papacia Fazar, she kicks that door open and breaks it down so it can never be put up again. But again, it's something that is well written. It is an explicit scene. It's an erotic scene. It is even still tame when it comes to erotica properly, but it's very erotic by American Muslim standards. But it's something that's very well done and that she feels comfortable with writing. So I am just wondering, how comfortable are you? You said you like that tease. Is there room for Nasheed Jaxson to move from that tease into something more, or have you kind of like, you're just at the placement where, you know what, this is where I'm comfortable and this is where I'm staying?
You know what, man? When you, as a writer and you're writing, you just go with the flow. I just go with the flow. And who knows? I might just let you peek in a little bit. You know what I mean? Let you look in the door. Now, I won't kick it down. I won't kick the door open. I'm not doing that.
Don't kick the door down.
But you may look in a peephole or something and see something that will entice. Inshallah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is that in romance fiction in particular, there is this in many ways, readers expect the door to be open, and not all romance authors do it. I mean, there are romance authors that don't open that door, and so then you have to choose another way for the. Oh yes, there's one I just read. Kate Reynolds, she does love scenes extremely well, and there's no explicit sex in them, and so it's not something that you have to do. But I'm just wondering, are Muslim readers expecting you to do it? Because I, as a Muslim reader of romance, in certain ways felt like, it was just there.
Yeah, see, you get right there. You don't go in.
Right there. And he's like, that's it. What? That's it.
Right. I believe there is an expectation for me. This is, just the beginning. This is my first book, so I have to do something, just to keep readers. Inshallah, I have to read something.
So now, you said this is your first book. Now, there's little birdie told me that there's a sequel to Her Justice.
Woo!
Okay. Is this going to be a romance as well? Is it going to be a romance?
You know what? It's going to be a romance.
Yes, thank you.
Because there's love involved. Of course, there's love.
Like I said, not all romances have love involved. I mean, not every book that has love involved is a romance.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, I just really think right now, I have to say that I'm a little biased because I see you as a very new and exciting romance author. Mm-hmm. And I would like to really see where you go with it. No pressure. But I'm sure a lot of your readers would like to see where they go with it. And if this is a sequel to Her Justice, it's very much going to be about it has to be about that love between Naima and Justice, and where does it go from that point? Now, in the sequel, do we have some characters coming back?
The return of Audrea. The return.
I knew she wasn't done.
The return of Audrea. Yes.
I knew she was not done. Audrea was not done with Justice or Naima.
Officer.
Naima better get a gun.
You got Ahmed coming back, just his friend.
Oh, Ahmed. I loved Ahmed. One of the things that you really did is that not only did you have very complex main characters, your supporting characters, a couple of them actually piqued my interest as a reader as well. They didn't only support the plot, you wanted to know a little bit more about them, and Ahmed was definitely one of them. because I know some Ahmeds.
Ahmed is, I know that guy, actually. I know Ahmed.
I think every American Muslim who's ever visited a masjid knows an Ahmed like that. How have readers responded to Ahmed even? Have readers wanted more from any of your supporting characters, or is it just that?
I've heard probably like 1 or 2 people say something about Ahmed. What I'm hearing most about is another character that's going to return is Umar.
Ah.
People want to know, because there was skepticism about into justice. Is he the FBI, or is he? So people want to know more about him. So inshallah, he will be back. Probably not this, but Aunt Gigi. What was it? Aunt Gigi? Aunt Gigi was Naima's aunt, who was married a couple of times.
The one that came to visit her.
Right. Aunt Gigi, she will probably come back. Probably within a series. She will.
Is the Imam's wife coming back?
I like her.
Because she was a trip. Girl, leave him.
Dude, Imam's wife will not say nothing like that, man. I like her. Leave him. Girl, it ain't gonna get
leave him, girl. Leave him.
You started right now. Oh, I've been with my husband for 40 years. And I've been going through what you're going through for 40 years.
I'm at the end of the road that you're embarking on. I'm telling you right now.
Get off of it now. Right. So yeah,
but she also, I mean, she did have that attitude, but it wasn't. She didn't always feel that way about justice. He did have a chance to redeem himself, but I think that she was just really indicative of where Naima seemed very, very submissive. You did include Muslim women who were not so much.
Speaking of that, there will be a Muslim woman who she ain't submissive at all in the sequel. Yeah, in within the series.
Have your Muslim female audiences? Well, honestly, if you look at romance fiction, even the most spitfire women tend to be to be dominated by the male. So even if Naima was like a Muslim version of Audrea and not taking any crap or anything like that, sooner or later it would have to be room for justice to quote unquote dominate her. That's just part and parcel with a lot of romance fiction has that. So I'm just wondering, are Muslim women comfortable with Naima staying? Are you comfortable with Naima staying as submissive as she was, considering the feedback that you've gotten?
I like her being submissive. I like it.
Yeah, you would. You're a man. I mean, she would. I played Susie Homemaker when I was a newlywed. So I think in many ways, a lot of Muslim women can identify with this whole idea of being the stereotype wife for their husband in the beginning. It gets old, it gets tired, and you may still remain a stay-at-home wife, which is quite a difficult job to do. But you'll find other ways of expressing your own autonomy in the relationship. So I did play Susie Homemaker for a while, and so I could definitely identify exactly what it is that Naima is initially doing and why she resents it so much, because it can be very, very difficult, especially if the person's not there to appreciate you while you're waiting at home with all. I mean, the meals and everything like that. I'm like, listen, if Justice doesn't want it, I'll come on over. You can feed me to your heart's content. I don't care.
What I will tell you that, like I said, I like her submissive, but she starts another life in the next book.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
She starts another life in the next book.
That'll be interesting to see what that life is and how Justice responds to it. Okay, so Her Justice by Nasheed Jaxson. Check it out. Jazakallah, brother Jaxson, for writing such a great romance novel and for joining us and letting us know more about you as an author. And if you want to know more about the work that I do with NbA Muslims, please check out the NbA Muslim website, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. And assalamu alaikum, brother Nasheed Jaxson.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you.